Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Pod What Happens Live, brought to you by Silent Podcast. We're anything but silent. I am your host, Katie, and I am here with my co-host, Kari, and we are here because, yo, dog, I heard you like reunions. So I put a reunion in your reunion so you can reunion while you reunion. I'm aging myself if you haven't watched Pimp My Ride ever or understand that exhibit meme. But Kari, how are you?
Well, first of all, call me by my proper name.
Oh, I'm sorry, Bo Deedle. Welcome. Special guest Bo Deedle is here as my co-host, actually.
Thank you.
Kari and Bo Deedle look very similar to each other, so I just had like a brain fart moment.
Yeah, understandable. I get that you can mix us up because I know I was in some movies, but maybe I'm a forgettable face.
I think you're pretty well known in the New Jersey area, it sounds like.
Yeah, New Jersey definitely knows about me, but I hide out in Chicago so that I can keep a low profile.
Mm-hmm. Understandable. You don't want all that attention.
No. I've never been about the attention. So Here we are.
Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
How has your week been?
Well, when I am not digging up dirt on anybody who is in the New Jersey cast, I'm calling Margaret's son at work. But no, my week's been good. There's been obviously I've been anxiously awaiting last night just because I wanted to see what this carrot was. I wanted to see what the big reveal was. But just I had my Taylor Swift weekend this weekend. So I was at the show where Taylor Swift swallowed a bug in front of 70,000 people on stage. It was pretty comical. I turned to my friend and I was like, is she okay? And then she goes, I just swallowed a bug. I don't know. Isn't it weird to think like something that can that happens to all of us at least once in our life, right? Like to do that in front of like 70,000 people and then you get like applauded for it.
It's like, yeah, it's pretty weird. I mean, my feelings on Taylor Swift. How dare that bug victimize her that way? Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry. She just victimized herself. My bad. Sorry, I had to throw it in. But yeah,
listen,
no.
None of us are really proud of Taylor right now. The fan base as a whole is
unraveling at the seams, it seems like.
Well, so, I mean, I know this isn't Bravo, but I can always go into a Taylor Swift conversation. It's what I'm built for. And her and Matt Healy have broken up by whatever accounts you want to believe in terms of like it was never anything serious or I don't know. But the girl from BuzzFeed who's kind of been like tearing Taylor down at the knees each and every week, like good for her for not being afraid of Swifties because I'm a Swiftie, but I'm also like a very realistic Taylor Swift fan. I don't think I put her on this unnecessary pedestal. And I like to try and hold her accountable. But she has reports saying that people like Taylor Swift knew about it and just didn't care. And I mean, what are we as her mere fans supposed to do besides continue to buy her shit and attend her concerts and financially support the second richest woman in music?
Who's the richest?
I don't know, but I just saw something to it. She's the second richest. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I bet it's like Mariah Carey or something.
Yeah. All I Want for Christmas Is You brings in the money every single year. My least favorite song in the history of songs. Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
I hate the Paul McCartney Christmas song more than any other song I've ever heard.
I just
Having a Wonderful Christmas Time.
Like Christmas music in general. But yeah, so there we go. Yeah, I'm not out here being like Taylor Swift can't do anything wrong. I do believe that I'm sure her publicist, Tree Payne, which that is her actual name, is like, Taylor, cut the fucking shit. Like, please stop. I'm begging you. But here we are.
I have to say, I'm not too surprised that she doesn't care, given how quiet she's been on some political issues or how long it's taken her to speak out on some political issues. But I bet that open letter worked from her fans, Good job, guys.
At the end
Obviously,
of the day,
I'm excluding you from that narrative, Bo Deedle. I don't think you took part in that open letter.
I was not a part of the open letter. I openly admit that she is above everything else a capitalist, and she wants
she's like a mega ultra capitalist
for the money, for the awards, for the accolades. And I mean, like, I'm not going to take away from her that she is also like probably one of the most and not probably, she is by some lists that I've seen one of the most charitable celebrities. And I think a lot of her shit is kind of like low key. Every city she's gone to, she's donated money to food pantries and stuff. Like every city.
Okay, well, good for her.
So like, but your actions don't compensate for like the inaction and other things. So yeah, it's at the end of the day, she just wants to make $1 or two or
a lot of them.
But I mean, I purchased 3 articles of clothing from her concert within the last week. So who am I to be complaining about anything?
Listen, it's all good.
A blue crew neck, so like I don't know. Between that and I haven't gotten COVID, I think I'm one of God's favorites.
Yeah.
The Taylor will understand. The coveted crew neck, hard to get. Had to go a day early.
Well, shout out to you. I'm excited for you.
Listen, the heart wants what the heart wants.
Taylor
I have wants Matt Healy, and I wanted the blue crew neck.
And you got it. I have like 4 good friends, you included, I would say, are in my life that are Taylor Swift fans. So I put you guys in a bucket of Taylor Swift fans that I like and adore as people, but the rest can go in another very far away bucket for me. I will say.
I think you would get a kick out of like the Gaylord community. Like
I'm familiar
for it.
I've been down that rabbit hole.
The subreddit is a far more like realistic group of people about Taylor Swift than like the Taylor Swift subreddit community. And I appreciate being a part of it. So yeah, in conclusion, I'll gladly do a podcast about Taylor Swift anytime. I'll outline all the goods, the bads, the uglies.
Well, have fun.
Okay. It'll be a monologue. It'll be me just talking.
I'm sure there's no lack of people out there that would do that podcast with you, I'm sure.
All right, let's talk Bravo.
Yeah, I want to apologize in advance because our air quality here is abysmal. If you've been following the news, it was like the apocalypse here yesterday in New York City. And I have a portable air conditioner, one of the ones that's like stand up and has a hose. And it's definitely, there are gaps in my window. So I think I'm getting slammed with poor air in this room. And it's clearly hitting me, if you could tell by my sniffly, congested, sneezy.
Your background lights to like the orange that
I should. You're right. I should. I think it'll clash with the background, but otherwise I would do it. But Bravo's been getting me through it. Let's talk about the last 2, I guess, the finale and the middle Vanderpump Rules reunion. We finally know the secret. Secret has been revealed. We had some pretty vile stuff in the reunion yesterday. We had some Sheena getting upset in the 2nd episode of the reunion. What are your feelings on where we've ended? Should we start there? Should we start with the carrot?
My question for you is like, what do you think of the reveal? Sorry, I just didn't know that Nitro was right below me, and I'm like, what am I touching right now? So what do you think of this big reveal? And like, was it big enough for you? Did it have the like ramifications you were expecting with all the hype around it? Like, how did you feel about it? Because I've seen some things and I feel like I fall in a different place than a lot of people.
Okay. I don't remember if I said this last week or not, but my expectations weren't super high for this reveal anyway. Like, there was nothing realistic that it could have been. I know people were like, she's pregnant, or she had a threesome with Tom Schwartz and whoever, or, I always assumed it was a timeline thing. And to me, that's not enough to make people not want to film. So I think Alex Baskin, the producer, said, well, we didn't send out contracts yet because there's a thing that everybody has to see and react to. And I think people just went completely wild with theories. And realistically, it was never going to be anything that crazy in my mind. So this is along the lines of what I was expecting. Before I watched, a friend came over and we watched with my partner Matt, and I was like, okay, around the room, what's the thought? And my prediction was that it was going to come out that they were together when she was with James, and that's why she called off their relationship.
Yeah.
It wasn't that drastic. I never thought it was going to be anything groundbreaking, earth shattering. So it's along the lines of what I expected, but it did feel like they built it up to be like, wait until the last 5 minutes. And then it's like, oh. But I did rewatch, and I will say it is kind of fucked up because Raquel, well, we could say what it was. Raquel or Rachel, whatever, admitted that this was a regular thing going on since Mexico, or since before Mexico, but it was going on when they were in Mexico and consistently through. They did hook up in Tom and Ariana's house when she came over and was in the jacuzzi and stayed over, which I feel like everybody probably just assumed was the case anyway. Yeah. And they were lying about it throughout the reunion, and they made this fake timeline of like, it only happened once. And it seemed like I will believe that Schwartz thought that that was probably true, that it did only happen once and that they hid it from him. And I was thinking, oh, they hooked up the first night, according to her, in Mexico, and then she made out with Schwartz the next day. So she really like fucked with Katie purposely. She fucked with Tom Schwartz purposely. Sandoval knew the whole time and was like maligning Katie the whole time. So like it is somewhat impactful, I would say, when you think about all of like the lies on top of lies on top of lies and other people they used as kind of puppets in that way. But I don't know. What's your thought on it?
I think that it's a very like layered big reveal because at surface level, the timeline, like you said, is it that it like I think the point that Ariana made a ton of times through the finale is like, it doesn't matter. Even if you only fucked once, like you fucked. And so that came up a bunch. So a timeline at this point, I don't think is like that massive, but I think you have to like go into what you were saying and consider it a little bit deeper to the point where she still was able to go in front of that whole cast minus Sheena, who are supposed to be her people, her closest friends, and did not shed a tear and still blatantly lied to all of their faces because Tom told her it would hurt people less. Like she was lying for Tom. They clearly, and I mean, we all expected them to collaborate on their stories because we saw when in the second episode when they were trying to eat lunch and Schwartz or not Schwartz,
I need a break. I need a
stop
break.
filming me.
Stop
If you
filming
understood.
me.
Like, and they're like, well, we're filming the other people. So just the impact, even like she still continued to try to lie. And the producer was like, we can blatantly see it on your face that you're lying. And then she's like, yeah, I am. And honestly, I don't necessarily believe that it didn't happen while Raquel and James were together. It's just that no one's directly asked her that on a camera, and she hasn't like we haven't had the opportunity to see her reaction. I think that could actually still be on the table. But yeah, I don't think it's like the timeline of it all, but more so how Tom Sandoval tries to control a narrative so much, and just like how you saw him unravel in this reunion, and Raquel like kind of held it together throughout the reunion, but then like still coming back. And from what I saw on a TikTok, it wasn't supposed to be like some confessional. It was supposed to be more sound bites because she had stopped filming, and then like it turned into what it was. Just like clearly Raquel needs intense therapy. I think it's sad that she feels that the only person she has is Sandoval, because if there's one person who should be excommunicated from her life at this point, it should be Tom Sandoval, because he is not any type of good news. Like the power he has over her is this manipulation, this control, and like I think surface level, it's like, okay, yeah, but when you look at it at a much deeper level, it's like I don't feel bad for her, but it's just like a very sad situation. And the fact that like in front of us, we're seeing how simple it can be to like fall for someone like a Tom Sandoval, and Tom Sandoval is not the only Tom Sandoval in this world. There's
Oh,
plenty
no.
of
I don't
them.
feel like he's not the only Tom Sandoval on the show.
Yeah, that's true. So, yeah, just like I don't feel bad for her. It just is a uncomfortable situation. I felt uncomfortable a lot actually last night.
Did you? I was gonna
Or
ask
well,
you
this
because
morning. I watched it
you watched this
today.
morning.
Yeah,
So you saw the uncensored.
yeah,
Okay.
I have no idea what wasn't shown in the Bravo version because I only watched the one on Peacock, but there was times where I was, like, having physical reactions to this show
Yeah.
and, like, what was being said, and, my second question for you is,
Mhm.
how do you feel about some of the things being said to or at Raquel?
I was gonna ask you the same because I feel like there is a little bit of a narrative out there that people were too mean to her and that, she had no chance. She was coming out to a firing squad no matter what.
Mhm.
And when I was watching it last night, I was like, I don't feel bad for her
Mhm.
because pretty much she has participated. She was a
Mhm.
50% participant. I'll give her equal blame here. I mean, Tom is the one that was in the relationship with Ariana and owned a house with her. All right, so maybe we should give Tom more than 50% of the blame. But
Yeah,
she
I
was
think
friends with
Tom
all of
gets
these
more.
people. What she did to Sheena, I think, is almost just as bad as what she did to
Yeah,
Ariana.
yeah.
Based on especially the reaction that Sheena had and just how close her and Sheena were. And Sheena literally did give her a place to live. Like, it's just like there's something missing there. And I think
Yeah.
Ariana like nailed it. Like, you're terrifying as a human being. Like,
Mhm.
when I found this out, I was like, this is a scary person. Like, because she has no connection to reality. I think I haven't been annoyed thus far with Lala, but last night I was a little bit like, okay, Lala, like, you just hate this girl and you just like want any excuse to go in. So when she was like, I'm living for it, I'm living for it, I was like, it's kind of fucked up to say you're living for this when like your really good friend's life has basically been just flipped upside down
Yeah.
completely. And I get her point of like, she saved you from this and like this is a blessing and obviously it is, but it still was just like a little too much. I don't think that James is as bad because he has more ties obviously to Raquel. They were
Right.
engaged, they were together for a long time, which it seems like people are kind of brushing off,
Forgetting?
which is
Yeah.
really weird. Um he's the reason that she's there, that any of them, like, it's just weird
Yeah.
that all night Lisa was like, James, please, we're wasting time. It's like, ma'am, we're here to let him do his job, please. He's doing a great job right now.
Are you not getting paid by the hour? Like, let it
Right,
go.
like, relax, Lisa. You could go. You could go. You're adding nothing. Um, but I feel like they both deserved it. I really do. I don't feel she showed no remorse on that stage. She
Yeah.
came out just like, oops. I know, I was so selfish. I was cringing, watching myself. And it's like, this is not a normal reaction to what's happening here. And then to see her and Tom go back and like laugh about it, I was like, this shit is unhinged to me. Both
Mhm.
of them completely unhinged.
Yeah, they're two different types to me, though. Like,
Yes.
I don't understand Raquel's ability to compartmentalize what she did. Like, how do you continue being Ariana's friend as you are, like, meeting up with her boyfriend, having sex with her boyfriend
In
while
her
she's, like,
home.
at a funeral?
Yeah, in her
Um,
home.
and I mean, even, like, Lisa Vanderpump was in on her with the whole conversation that we saw in what would have been the finale,
Mhm.
um, just, like, asking about the relationship, and, like, I guess the other side of it is clearly she's hearing from Tom and, like, his version of things, which I don't think is remotely true in the slightest, so
Right.
she's believing Tom that, like, "I've tried breaking up with her, she said she'll kill herself if I break up with her," and
Trash.
all this stuff, and I I don't think Ariana's wrong when she's like, "I don't think you've had an original thought in your life."
Mhm.
Where Sandoval is just he was the one who made me feel the most uncomfortable. Just his reactions, his
Oh,
replies to
yeah.
things. Obviously, the T-shirt comment, he
That
deserves to get
was
his ass kicked by anybody who wants to. But I don't know, like I think you're right that like Lala shouldn't have like Lala was being Lala, but at the same time, when Lala's being Lala, you don't usually also have like Ariana telling someone to like fuck themselves with a cheese grater.
Yeah.
Or many of the other lines that she threw out there. My favorite was when she like talked in that SpongeBob meme voice when she's like, "You're a
same.
Dementor. I know you like Harry Potter." I was like,
Yeah.
"You are the SpongeBob meme right now," which is fucking hilarious. But
Yes.
like Ariana said a lot of heavy, hard things to her. I know it was the first time she's seen Raquel since finding out about it. And so like I understand those emotions. And again, like I don't feel bad for Raquel, but just like there's just a lot of things being said that it's like I fear for the repercussions that some of the people on the non-Ariana side in terms of like self-harm, in all honesty. Like
Yeah.
I do think that there's things being said, a lot of shit, and then like add the internet onto it. It's a lot. And it's um as much as I love the drama, I was like, whew, I am laughing at the cheese grater comment, but also like, can we make sure that Raquel has a buddy tonight? Like,
Yeah.
can we just keep an eye out? And I don't know. It was definitely like heavy in an uncomfortable way for me.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Sandoval deserves everything that's coming at him though. Not that Raquel
Yeah.
doesn't, but like to a different level. Just because he's so the tears and the I love you more now than I ever have. Shut the fuck up, Sandoval. Shut up.
He is unhinged to me. I think he is such a master manipulator, absolute liar, piece of trash. And just the fact that like this has clearly been going on for a long time. You're not saving yourself any face by lying. Everybody knows you're lying. That's what everybody
Mhm.
was like. Why? It doesn't. Also, yeah, right. You're a liar. And second of all, like, who cares if it was only one time? And he's like, it does matter. And I'm
Yeah.
like, but you're lying about it. You're lying
Right.
about everything that you're saying right now. So you're like putting yourself, like, you're nailing yourself to this cross of like it was only one time, but you're actually fucking still lying. So it's
Yeah.
like he's just such a piece of actual human trash.
Yeah.
Um, she scares me as a person, but I
Mhm.
agree. I think, we were saying too last night when, we watched it live. I watched it again today, the uncensored version. We were saying last night, like, it does have to really be difficult to be completely alone or have Tom Sandoval, king of all liars, as your only ally who's like gaslighting you probably into
Mhm.
whatever. And, the fact that they can even just sit there and say, like, yeah, they think we're like such pathological liars, but like we're not. Like they make it, and
We
I'm like,
only lied about the affair, which is
which like you guys are still lying. You guys are
yeah.
still fully lying on a stage that like it's just yeah. This is your chance to come clean and do the right thing and you like can't even do that. So but it has to be tough like everywhere she goes this is going to follow her.
Mhm.
Everywhere she goes online, she's not going to be able to get on social media. She's not going to be able to like participate in
Yeah.
society. Because I do agree with what Lala said is that like the women get it the hardest. And I think when
Mhm.
she does reactivate her social media or whatever, whenever she leaves whatever place that she's in, like she's in for a really rough reality.
Mhm.
And he's just living his life touring, hooking up with girls still while she's wherever she is. He doesn't care. So he's just going on rants on social media being like, oh, these are the messages I get. And it's like, okay, him, I don't care. Her, I don't care, but I do think it's going to impact her more than it's impacting him right now mentally. So you're right. I can understand the worry for her mental health.
Yeah. Uh Speaking of Tom Sandoval, now let's just say objectively,
Yeah.
like you have the you grew up in like the white picket fence American family, mom, dad, all this stuff, right? Let's just pretend we're both in these situations because obviously as grown adults, we've both gone through our shit with whatever. Sure. So let's not take it as like our own parental situation, but just a parental situation.
Mm-hmm.
Would you ever bring like your side chick home and introduce her to your mom?
Dude, this is the craziest. I mean, like here's the thing and this is why I think it wasn't as impactful watching it so long after they filmed it, is like we kind of already knew all this stuff. Like we knew she went home with him. We saw the pictures. It's been kind of confirmed that this all happened. But like, what's up with Tom's family?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. And they still haven't reached out to Ariana, she has said, and like checked in on her and like, or not checked in on her, but like at least said like, hey, this is like a national scandal. Like, I'm sorry that sorry that it ended this way. Anything.
Yeah.
It's pretty weird. Like something is up.
Yeah.
And he obviously felt comfortable to do that.
That's also crazy. I can't imagine just like coming home to my parents and they're like, who's this? Like, oh, this is my side piece, my girlfriend.
Right.
Well, what about your like what manipulation is going on there where he's able to take all of his mom's money to invest in Schwartz and Sandy in addition to bringing home like girlfriend number 2?
Someone do a wellness check on Tom Sandoval's mom.
Yeah, did you see the TikTok of the 2 women who went to one of his outdoor concerts and paraded around the fence with a banner that was easily probably like 8 feet long that just said, "Pay back your mom, Tom." Like, he would move in part of, like, his performance, and they would, like, shift their location. It was definitely funny.
That's amazing.
Speaking of Toms, I feel like Schwartz is like, where do you fall on Schwartz right now? Because I feel like the perspective or, like, the opinions of him kinda run the gamut at the moment.
I hate Tom Schwartz. I'm in the middle of a rewatch, and I just watched the season where Tom and Katie got married, and she was peak Tequila Katie, and he was peak total asshole. And she was justified in every piece of anger toward him that she had, in my opinion. I know that's probably a controversial statement, but when they were in New Orleans for their joint bachelor and bachelorette party, the way he was speaking to her was so sick and low down and disgusting that I can't imagine what he would say to her in private. So I think he's a secret monster, and I think he's gotten a very favorable edit in the past, and I think his mask is coming off a little, but I do think when he was just like, dude, like you can't say that about you wore your t-shirt. That was like the most vile thing. That was just so disgusting. Even he was like, dude, you can't.
Well, that's the image that had been floating around the internet where people thought like, oh, actually Raquel and Schwartz fucked because like his head was down in his hands. But no, it's actually in disgust at what his best friend said to the woman that he cheated on with his, whatever. But
well, I have heard I'm not giving Jax Taylor and Brittany the one listen that I would contribute to their podcast, but I know he was on their podcast.
I listened to parts of it on TikTok.
Okay. It sounds like he said that he has not spoken to Sandoval in a little while, and they are taking time apart from each other.
Yeah, he based off of I heard like 2 elongated parts of the podcast, and he was saying that yes, he's not really talking to Sandoval right now, and he said he felt like the show made it seem like all he was about was Sandoval and Raquel when really his dad had like taken a pretty hard fall and was like
pulmonary embolisms too.
Yeah, like bleeding from the brain in 3 different hospitals. At one point was like 5% chance to live because he was on a trach. One of his, I don't know if it's one of the triplets, but a brother, I can't remember what his sibling situation is, but like a brother has testicular cancer. He was like, post divorce, and he was just like the bandwidth that I had to give to Tom Sandoval's situation with Raquel was not a lot, and, like, it's hard. Like, he's like, "I'm not making excuses," but with everything I had going on in my life, like, I'm running out of money, I have all this family shit, I'm going through divorce, like, could I have been more influential in trying to convince Sandoval to do the right thing? Sure, but I had so little to give to that friendship as it was because, like, opening a bar is very hard, and he definitely, like, I don't wanna say he, like, definitely took responsibility and accountability for some things, but, um, he listening to that, he came off a little bit more favorable than, um, I think I wanted him to come across
Yeah.
as,
Yeah.
is probably it, but, yeah, I I think that of anybody on that side of the reunion room who has the best chance of, like, rebounding in a positive way from this, it's Tom Schwartz, so I'm
I think so too.
interested to see what happens with him, but, um, yeah, it's true in a way of, like, no matter what, like, you could tell an adult to do something or not to do something because it's morally right or morally wrong, whatever the situation is, and at the end of the day, they're still a person, like, they're gonna make
Right.
their choices, and, um, I guess it's like, do you go to Ariana?
Right. Well, that's what I was gonna say too. Like, and this is not a pro Tom Schwartz opinion, but it's just like
Mhm.
it's not his relationship. It's not his responsibility. Obviously, he had a lot of other things going on. So, he's friends with Ariana. He's obviously more friends with Tom. Like, I don't think it was his role to, but I do think he probably lied for them, obviously, and he
Yeah.
did play a pretty big part in villainizing Ariana on the season of
Mhm.
just like, yeah, man, I know she does like talk down to you or whatever. Like he was part of building that narrative with Tom. So I think
Yeah.
he is at fault for some of that stuff, but like it's not like you said, it's not his job really to he can't force anybody to do anything they don't want to do. And
Mhm.
obviously Tom I don't think Tom would have ever told Ariana. I think this would have continued on until they got found out one way or another.
Mhm.
Like he could say he was going to tell her before the reunion, but there was no way that, especially given how much he was lying last night,
Yeah.
or whatever. Obviously, we saw last night, but um, I also think you're right about Schwartz having the most, like probably the like widest lane for redemption because everybody still hates Katie. Like there's still such a huge Katie hater, like sect of the fandom that like
Mhm.
people will always be on Tom Schwartz's side because Katie's such a monster. Which obviously you and I don't think that, but there are a lot of people who
No.
do think that. So he's gonna get their sympathy anyway, regardless.
Mhm.
So he'll be fine.
Yeah.
But I am glad to hear that he's like being a little bit of an adult and distancing himself from Sandoval.
Yeah. It definitely didn't come across as like a woe is me type
Yeah.
of thing. And to be fair, I don't think Jax would have let him in the podcast,
Yeah.
because in what I've heard of either him as a guest or like clips of his own podcast where he's been pretty decent at holding people accountable for their shit. He definitely like did give Sandoval more of the blame, and I think he did give Schwartz a bit of wiggle room, but
Hmm.
Schwartz wasn't also really taking too much of the wiggle room and running it like feel bad for me, but it was the clips I heard, it was like, okay, he at least seems to be like grounded in some morality in all of
Yeah.
this that um I think makes it a little bit easier to digest Schwartz as a person in upcoming seasons or maybe at
Yeah.
least next season.
Yeah, I think he'll for sure be back. I think he has probably a built-in story of like how he's navigating all of this stuff. Like he'll be fine.
Mhm. Yeah, for
Whether we
sure.
like it or not, he'll be.
Mhm.
Um any final Vanderpump thoughts? I will say Lisa Vanderpump came off very like, let's get with it, grandma. Okay? Let's play like let's catch up here. When she was like, "Wait, you dressed up like and what you
Mhm.
after?" I was like, "Oh my god, get it together, Lisa. Follow along here." She was annoying me a little bit. And I love Lisa, so I
Mhm.
was getting a little bit like, "You don't need to be here." you're kind of like taking us. One, you're sticking up for Tom too much. Two, you're telling James to shut up too much. And three, like, you're adding nothing.
Yeah, I didn't like how she talked to Lala as well.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah.
she was very dismissive of James and very
Yep.
dismissive of Lala when she made the comment, like, "Don't let this make you a bitter woman." I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what the fuck else is she supposed to feel?
Right. Right.
And
Right.
I can't remember if what podcast, TikTok, whatever clip I saw it on. Lala made a point that I thought was interesting where she said, I'm not diagnosing Raquel at all. Like, I'm not diagnosing her. However, like, Randall and Tom are one and the same. And so I've
Yes.
experienced this. And this is why I feel so passionately about like making sure that what I have to say is heard, which makes sense to me. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, to she didn't really like I feel like she responded to Raquel a lot. She didn't really like initiate anything with Raquel. Like
Yes.
she calls everybody a dumb hoe at some point or like
Yeah.
a stupid bitch. Like, I feel like that's just another way of Lala addressing you. But she did go at Tom a lot, but I didn't think it was unwarranted.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think anything anybody said to Tom was unwarranted at all. Other than anything Lisa said that was like remotely in defense of Tom.
Yeah. And I thought that Lisa saying like, don't let it make you bitter. Well, it's still pretty fresh and she's still going through some like legal shit with this man.
Yeah.
I think she has every right to be bitter right now.
Absolutely. And like stuff is still coming out about this guy. Like it's yeah. So there were a couple of things on the uncensored reunion that were not on the broadcast, obviously. One of those things was Lisa talking to Tom behind the scenes when they were on their break, and she was like, you know, why don't you? So when it aired on Bravo, that part wasn't there. So it showed us that, like, you know, we just saw him getting emotional or whatever. And now it all makes sense that Lisa told him to do that. So he put on, you know, the waterworks or whatever. So it's like, oh, this isn't even a genuine emotion. Lisa told you to do it. So you're trying to save some face. That's probably the most notable thing to me. There were a couple of other things, but I can't pinpoint them out. But yeah, if you guys aren't watching the uncensored versions, also like truly watching it with the cursing is such a different experience. And I didn't think it would be, but it truly is so different. It's just like jarring to hear everybody be like, fuck you, fuck. I was like, oh my God, this is like really wild.
What did Katie say so casually? Like, she's a cunt and he's a whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, a drunk. And yeah. And just like the way that she didn't raise her voice, she's a cunt and he's a drunk. And it's just like, oh, hearing this C word on my television / laptop, but whatever. Like,
yeah, not on HBO. It's weird because like when you watch a show on HBO or whatever, it's like totally normal.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it like really hits different.
Yeah.
I want it for every show.
Oh, same thing like with the challenge when it was on Paramount. Right. Yeah. Kept the swearing in, and it's so much better like hearing Darrell call someone an asshole versus it being bleeped out.
Yes. Okay. Well, we have one episode left of, I mean, you know, the Scandival is like done, but we have a Secrets Revealed episode next. So I'm sure we'll see some clips.
I didn't even know that existed. I always skip those, but
I skipped them too. I will be watching this one, but I don't know that we need to talk about it. I mean, I'm going to say I'm over it, but like,
yeah,
let's move on to the next.
I'm ready. Right. I think that the people who still need to be dealing with this have every right to be still dealing with it, but it no longer needs to consume 50% of, not 15, but 50% of my For You page.
Yes. I apologize for wiping my nose on live on YouTube. Dude, this air is like truly killing me.
I have a guest room in Chicago. We have clean air, so
I know I might have to hop on a plane. So let's move on then to, well, Bo Dietl, you were a big topic.
Yeah, I am popular in New Jersey.
Yeah. So maybe let's shift gears and we'll talk about reunion number 2, Real Housewives of New Jersey. I mentioned this to you before we went live. But I watched it live. I did not rewatch it, and I was kind of like, this one was like okay, I gotta just like sit on my phone because I just can't with this for whatever reason. It just feels like I'm over it. Which takes me a long time to get there with Jersey, and I'm there. Yeah. So I'm not looking forward to next week. I don't care about much that happened this week. I'm ready to move on from this and figure out how we're going to be able to make New Jersey something that we can stomach in the future.
I do have an opinion in that I am neither team Melissa or Teresa in any of this at this
Yeah.
point. Both of them, I think, like, the Gorgas have done a better job at hiding their shit and making the right dirty deals to cover their shit up. Um, but I also think that, like, a lot of shit that Teresa is saying is just either, like, dumb or
Yeah.
is, like, she's covering up for someone because, like I said last week, I think she's fiercely loyal to the people that
Mm-hmm.
she determines she should be, and both sides of it is just exhausting to the point
Yes.
where, like, I don't I'm not rooting for either of you anymore. I don't care about this, like, I hope you never see each other again after this reunion
Yeah.
because it means there's a chance for a better TV show, but it just, like, adding on the Bo Dietl of it all and, like, Margaret's kid getting a phone call from Louis' cell phone number and then, like, covering up with, like, oh, spoofing or, like, the
Yeah.
the mom of like, the biological mom of what's her faces because I can never
I don't
remember the 2 new
believe
people.
that to be true, by the way.
I don't even but that's the thing is, like, the fact that any of this is coming up and it can be believed to be true because Louis is shady as fuck.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I just the way that, like, we see the preview of, like, "I hold all the cards, let's play," or whatever, like, are you the fucking godfather? Like, what
I
is this?
know.
What, like, Martin Scorsese directed movie do you think you're in right now? I'm s I can't root for either of them. It feels like Melissa says more things based in fact that, like, at least seem based in fact, where Teresa will, like, just throw like, Teresa's going lots, like, "You need the storyline, you need the storyline." This reunion and I just I'm so I want neither of them to like, neither can win at this point.
Yeah.
Neither can win. But even if, like, they get rid of Melissa, even this is her last season, does that mean you're also going to get rid of Margaret and anyone else that, like, has been negatively affected by Louis' private investigations? Like, even Frank for Dolores has, like he's involved in it. What's happening? Are they just I'm very confused at what the future is going to
Yeah.
hold for this series because they are at a dead end. I don't know what they do here.
Yeah, they're absolutely at a dead end. And I think, and this isn't a defense of Teresa, even though maybe I don't really have any defense of her this week, but I'm known to defend Teresa. I just think that reunions are not her strong suit. They never have been. She is not a quick thinker. And I
No.
think that's where Melissa and Joe really are able to make her look so bad because they are smarter than her. And I think
Yeah.
that they're able to capitalize on any little thing that she says to make herself look bad. And I think you're right. They're both at fault. Teresa is obviously lying and covering things up and defending people and making things up or going along with storylines or like stories to cover things up for people. But I think Melissa and Joe are very much doing the same thing. And I think they are very calculating
Mhm.
more so than we probably realize. And
Yeah.
I'm just tired. I'm just tired. And I'll throw Margaret in there too. Like she's just toxic. And I don't know. It's just something's got to give here with this cast. Something I think they need to do a whole revamp, honestly. I think keep Jen Aiden, keep the two newbies, I guess. I don't I'm not a Jen Fessler lover personally. I know a lot of people really like Jen Fessler. I could take her or leave her. But I think they've got to do something. And I can't imagine sitting through next week with the husbands. Like it's just not something I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm interested because I wanna see what Louis says, but I can also
Yeah.
see being, we've seen all the good like, the good parts in,
Yeah.
like, the previews and commercials. So, I don't know. It's like we've been watching iterations of the same argument for a long time, and I just hope that they do something about it.
Yeah, me too.
Did you see that Jen Aiden said that Andy is mean to her?
Yeah, or she agreed. I mean, he is. And he's like that with a lot of different housewives. I think there's a thread on Reddit about like, the housewives that Andy has been historically not nice to. And Candace is up there. We've talked about it in the past, in our Cool Water Show days of how Andy treats Candace very differently. It seems like he's come around to her a little bit because she's gotten a little bit more popular with the fan base. So he's been treating her a little more nicely. But yeah, I think it's pretty rude for she was in that moment, she was responding to something that Rachel said to her. And he was just like, she'll run out of gas. I'm like, let her, she's making a point. Like, why does she have to run out of gas when the other two can just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, however much they want? It's just a little ridiculous.
Yeah, depending on what chair you're sitting in. And Jen Aiden will never be sitting in a first chair because Teresa, she's always sitting next to Teresa, and Teresa will be in that first chair.
Unless Teresa's not with us anymore. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it. But there's got to come a day where her time is up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I think having Louis on the show is a goldmine for Bravo because he's so insane that, like, how could you not want to watch what happens live?
Do you want Pod What Happens Live? I do. I did. That was good. I think the issue is who's going to interact with Louis. So even if he's on the show, I think after this reunion, like, who's going to want to film with him? Who's going to want to give him the opportunity to have something that he runs to Bo Dietl about? So
yeah. Well, Bo Dietl, from what I and I'm not following this closely because this is just like some of the stuff that I'm just like, this is like so ridiculous. I guess there was an altercation in New York City where Bo Dietl saw Joe and Melissa and told them he wasn't hired by Louis. He didn't. I don't know. It's like I'm not following it closely, so I don't know all the details, but I think he has denied any involvement.
I was scanning the article from ET titled "Bo Dietl Sets the Record Straight on Louis."
Okay.
Whatever his last name is, private investigator claims on Real Housewives of New Jersey. And then I kind of got lost in trying to look up what happened on Real Housewives of Atlanta because I had forgotten. So let me see if I can scan this quick and find what he said. Oh, the fact is, look, I know Louis and Teresa. I've known them for a long time. Over the years, I've known them very well. I've been to their home for their housewarming of their home. That was redundant, Bo.
Yeah.
I'm reading Bo's words right now, by the way. It's not, well, I'm Bo too. Okay, this is Inception. So he said, I'm not part of this housewife stuff. All I really know is I like Louis and I like Teresa. Now, all of a sudden, he gets into a beef with his brother-in-law, and the next thing, he opens his mouth, and the brother-in-law knows he knows me. So what is he going to say? I got the most famous and private investigator. I got dirt on every one of yous. It was all baloney, and it never happened. So that's Bo Dietl saying that this is not true, that Louis contacted him. So is Louis just pulling like the ultimate bluff? Is
He said on Watch What Happens Live that he made it up. That's what Louis said. So, and that's what Teresa said. It seems like a weird thing to make up, but I also don't believe what Rachel, Bravo Lover 1234, was saying. That should have been my name on this, Bravo Lover 1234. I don't believe that. Why would Louis go looking for Rachel's stepson's birth mom? Like, it just, why would he care about that? It just doesn't make any sense. They are not involved in anything. So like that to me felt like, okay, you're really just trying to get in on the story here and pile on.
Do you believe the Margaret's kid getting a phone call?
I mean, it looks like she has phone records. So, but he was just like, yeah, that's my phone number. He wasn't like, he didn't seem stressing about it.
Well, so did you see how Andy was like, well, there is a thing happening with all the housewives where like
Yeah.
we're getting calls from like the name and number, but like no one's speaking.
Which is so wild because they
Yeah.
were all like, oh, yeah, everybody was like, oh, yeah, that's happening. I'm like, how was that happening?
Yeah. And then didn't Teresa take her phone and was like, look, while sitting here, I got a phone call from
Two
Dolores,
phone
who has
calls.
been sitting
Margaret,
next
I
to me.
think. Two
Yeah.
phone calls from Margaret.
So I don't know. I don't know. It's all weird. And like, I hate that it comes down to this type of stuff too. But I mean, if
Yeah.
that's like the power move that he decided and it like rattled them all so much, imagine how much shit they're hiding that they're like, oh, fuck.
Right. Right.
Eh.
Right. It feels like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like if it were me and someone was like, well, I got a private investigator on you. I'd be like, cool. What'd you find out? Like
Yeah.
nothing because I'm a loser. Like there's nothing to find out about me. I'm just like a person. So
Mhm.
I can't imagine having such a visceral. I mean, it's weird. I would probably be like, oh, I want nothing to do with this person.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be like, oh, you hired a private investigator. They're calling my. And I'd be like, I don't know. It just is weird. I feel like we're veering into pretty dark territory on Jersey, and we've been in this dark place for a while. And I just want to. I need a light at the end of the tunnel here.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
Joe and Melissa cannot carry a show.
I wouldn't want to watch that show.
I don't think I would continue.
Mhm. But I mean, Teresa fired Melissa, so it's fine.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. We already know what's gonna happen. Teresa fired her.
Mhm.
Anything else on Jersey? I mean, it was a little bit of
No.
a flop this week. I'm ready
Nope.
for it to be over.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was easy. Let's go on to flop number 2, Real Housewives of Atlanta. Both of us were kind of like, I don't remember what happened. And I was like, I kind of fell asleep during the episode and I didn't go back.
I didn't fall asleep. I watched it. I paid attention and still couldn't. I had to go and look up a review. But that's the thing is like everywhere across social media right now and media in general is just like, this sucks.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it's not good. Whatever it is. And I can't put my finger on like, where's the miss here? Is it the fact that like we're going on trips to Alabama? Is that where they were? Alabama?
Yeah, they were in Birmingham, Alabama.
Is it like, and half the cast, like Drew didn't go, Candy didn't go, Sonia left because Kenya was like, just go home. So Sonia left. It's like, what's happening here? And then Kenya got the flu. It's just like, it just feels pasted together in a really weird way. The new cousin, friend of whatever she is like not hitting. It feels like there's just a lack of chemistry with the cast.
I was about to say, I think it's missing like your key component to a successful Housewives season, which it really feels like they're not friends anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you think about it, like I think the real friendships on this show are Kenya and Candy.
Yep. I think so too. And they
I
feel
think
like
I
they're
might
just
be
a
out of it.
functioning friendship. So there's like not anything interesting there. They're just like normal friends.
Yeah. And you don't have this level of banter that we're used to. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, we expect Kenya and Marlo to go at it because we know that they're never gonna get along again. And I mean, Sonya's like very two-faced and
Yes.
just like wants to be liked. And we don't really have any. It doesn't feel like there's anything really to like root for right now.
Yeah.
And that there's not like the fun friendships that we usually get out of Atlanta.
Yeah.
It's just missing. I mean, you need to get rid of Drew. The fact that she's back again is wild. The
And
fact
she
that they
hasn't
brought
filmed.
this.
She's filmed like one time with the group.
Yeah.
Why is she
The fact that
there?
they even like didn't shake up the cast at all, like the main 6. Is there 6? Whatever it is. Yeah, I think it's 6.
Yeah, something like that.
Candy, Kenya, Marlo, Drew, Sonia, Sheree. So like cuz last season wasn't anything to call home about and
It was
they
like
had
funny in a lot of ways, but it wasn't one of the best.
yeah. That I don't know, people are like bring back Portia. Bring back
Nene. I want Nene.
yeah.
I don't want Portia. I want Nene. After Portia on Ultimate Girls Trip, I know we recorded like one episode where we talked about Ultimate Girls Trip, and I was like, Giselle and Portia, yeah. I completely take that opinion back, and I think that they actually were horrible in the show.
Yeah.
And Portia is just a producer.
Yeah.
She's a Kyle. She's a Bethany. She's a producer. That's pretty much it. She's not going to show her real life on camera. Everything's going to be produced. I think that was also the problem with Nene toward the end of her tenure, but I think Nene could come back. She's probably had a dose of humble pie. I think she's got a lot going on in her life after Greg passed. She has a new boyfriend. She has, like, there's stuff interesting there about Nene, and she has relationships, maybe not current relationships, but she knows all of the women that are on the show, except for probably Drew and Sonia. But she knows Kenya. She knows Candy. She knows Marlo. She knows Sheree. Like, she would be a natural fit.
Yeah.
Cynthia, if, you know, I know Cynthia's back, I think, is a friend of at some point. Like, bring Nene into this cast and, like, see how it goes. Because I feel like she would be a good centerpiece, even though she probably doesn't have great relationships with them. But we're never going to see Nene back because she's Sue Bravo. So, like, it's just never going to happen.
Right. Yeah, there needs to be a shakeup. It is not giving anything that is, like, Atlanta's known to. Because earlier on, Atlanta is top-notch housewives.
Oh, yeah. Iconic. Like, there's no more iconic housewives city than Atlanta. There's no more, nothing has been memed more. Like, it's consistently given us great content.
Yeah. Atlanta walked so Potomac can run. And right now, Atlanta's not really even walking. Like, it's just.
Yeah. I know. The most exciting thing about the season so far was seeing Candace for me. And she's on a different franchise.
Yeah. No, I really don't have anything more to say because I don't want to sit here and trash it. I'm going to hope for the best that something changes, but I'm not exactly confident in that.
Yeah. Well, my question to you is, do you want to see Kim Zolciak back?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
No.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, she comes back now that she's, and no.
She's, no.
I'm out on that.
Like, no. I cannot explain any more than that 2-letter word can explain for me. Nah.
I'm with you. All right. Well, with that, let's go talk about some other blonde ladies that are not Kim Zolciak. Let's talk about the Real Housewives of Orange County, which is back. It's returned.
Yes.
This caught me off guard. I turned on Vanderpump Rules last night at like 8:58 p.m. and it was like the end of OC, and I was like, oh, that's right. This is back. I totally forgot. So I watched it today. Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, same.
It was still a little boring, but I was pleasantly surprised.
It was like a good first episode, though. I kind of like that we didn't have like anything over the top yet. Let's set the foundation. Because I think like OC brings this level of prestige to it that some of the other ones don't. We're classy ladies who do yoga in the heat because we need to stay fit to fit into like this extravagant neighborhood we live in and everything. So I was kind of like happy with all of it. I can't remember her name because, you know, I still don't know all the people in New Jersey, and I watched the whole fucking season. What's the new one that's Tamara's friend?
Jen.
Oh, but not Dr. Jen, just.
Not Dr. Jen. You know, I was like, this lady looks like that lady from last season, and I could not remember her name, and they have the same name.
Go figure.
Dr. Jen is maybe, I know Peggy, the 100th housewife, gets like a lot of hate for being a terrible casting choice, but Dr. Jen was the absolute worst housewife we've ever had.
Yeah. So I actually want to talk about new Jen for a little bit before we even dive into Tamara coming back and everything that's happened. So I am already intrigued by Jen, and here is why.
Okay.
And I think you're going to agree with me in terms of how I've thought about this. How many housewives have come on recently let's say over the last like 3 years, and like their season 1 storyline is their marriage falling apart and getting divorced. Like Dr. Jen, for example, was one, correct?
And her weird shirtless husband. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're like, we don't care enough about you to care about the demise of your relationship because we never really like saw your
we don't know
relationship
you.
functioning, like different from like Shannon, who like we saw what's his face and then like we saw the downfall. Completely different. I want to watch that, the ramifications of this divorce.
Yes.
We are getting a whole different type of like marital divorce status thing here where like she lives with her ex-husband.
Yeah.
But like when he comes to visit, she stays with her boyfriend
He
and like
works in another state.
in like Oklahoma.
So, yeah.
And so I like that we're getting like this drama and like they're ready divorced, but we have to see this level of coexisting. That to me is far more interesting because like they've already been through like the dirty part and now they're just in like a weird living situation thing that like I can freely judge. And so I'm excited about this because I think that it has potential to be more interesting than a new person coming on and their storyline is I'm going to get divorced at the end of this season.
Yes. So I'll tell you what I find interesting about her, and it's that she has a huge box of Sam Edelman and Steve Madden shoes, which are shoes that like I shop and buy Sam Edelman shoes. Now, I'm not a housewife. So I think she's an interesting juxtaposition to, let's say, a Heather Dubrow, who is wheeling Terry into the elevator in their home, and her assistant is going on a Starbucks run in her gigantic mansion. I like seeing a box full of Sam Edelman and Steve Madden shoes on the Housewives, which I normally wouldn't say that, but I do. I like it.
I like Steve Madden shoes. They were always my like go-to for sandals.
Yeah. Yeah. She's relatable.
Speaking of Heather and what's her husband's name?
Terry.
Thank you. I thought it was very interesting when she was talking about her friendship with Gina.
Yeah.
And she's like, I like her. She's real. I've like enjoyed my friendship with her. But then she kind of just like fell off the face of the earth. And like I tried to invite her to things, but she like never reciprocated, which like to be fair, I hear that. I fucking hate when I like put the energy into it. Like I'll defend you in this, Heather Dubrow. And then for Terry to be like, do you think that she doesn't invite you to things because like they're not extravagant enough? And Heather's like, no. And then 5 minutes later, Gina's like, I don't invite you to things because they're not extravagant enough for you.
Yeah.
I want to see if those two comments have any sort of impact on the Heather that we see over this season, because I think it's interesting that we saw that. And like, are we going to get less, I don't want to call her like high strung, but like a less high society form of Heather? Are we going to see like Heather enjoying a dive bar this season? Is there potential? But I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that they showed us that particular part of like Terry like guessing it and Gina confirming it.
Yeah. I mean, how not self-aware do you have to be to realize like you present a very different lifestyle than everybody else on this show. So like maybe they do feel uncomfortable inviting you to their kind of like janky ass events that aren't like, I think, and I do not like Gina, but in her confessional when she was like, Heather Dubrow doesn't want to go to a dive bar. She just wants to be invited to the dive bar so she can say no. Like that's probably true. Like and I understand wanting to be included, like I get that. That's pretty normal, especially if you're supposed to be friends with these people. But like, she's not self-aware about the vibe that she's putting out. And that's my problem with Heather. I mean, remember last season how much I hated Heather.
Yes.
I like forgot that she existed kind of. And then when I saw her on my screen, I was like, oh God, Heather and Terry. I can't stand Heather and Terry. But it sounds like they're not in a great spot with the cast. That's what I'm seeing. Like that she's at an all-time low with everybody else in the cast. So I'm okay with a Heather takedown season.
She said her and Shannon got like close. Is there going to be a demise?
I actually don't know. I haven't been paying attention to like spoilers of the season. Just because I don't typically care that much about the OC, but I don't know. It felt nice to have it back. It felt like we've kind of been in this weird, like the only housewives proper that was on for a while was Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
We've been so in this Vanderpump world. Jersey was the only Housewives that was airing live. We had some Ultimate Girls Trip, but like that was not great this season, in my opinion. And like Jersey has been so just like, whoa, it's like we're walking through mud. And it's just, this is a breath of fresh air of like, oh, we're just doing yoga outside. And, you know, Emily's drinking out of a bowl that Archie drank out of right beforehand. A bowl of water. Like, what the fuck is going on here? But it was a nice breath of fresh air to see like, oh, whew, fresh faces, and we're back. We're doing something else. It's not Melissa versus Teresa. I can get in on it. I want to ask you about your feelings on Tamara being back.
I've always been a Tamara fan.
Okay.
And I am excited she's back. I think that she naturally stirs it up. And I think that this is what OC needs. I am excited to see what she brings. I would love to see her and Shannon actually reconcile. It does not seem like that truly happens. We'll see, obviously. But I mean, like, I could see her getting along with Emily really well. I know that they had to like yoga face to face and they apologized and whatever. And I think that the two of them could be really fun together. Like, especially drunk Emily is a fucking hoot.
Yes.
So I'm interested to see that. But yeah, and I love that she's not with Vicky. I like when give me Tamara without Vicky 10 times out of 10. And like the only way I can stomach Vicky is if she's with Tamara. No, I'm very excited about Tamara being here. I think that this is what OC needs. We have a lot of potential. That, and I'm already very excited, like I said, about Jen, the new person, where like I wasn't high on what Noella and Dr. Jen last season. So
I blocked Noella out of my brain that was even a thing.
And don't we get what's her face? Is it Taylor?
We get Taylor. We will get Vicky at some point.
Blech.
Her entrance in the season trailer of her just going like, blah, and it was honestly one of her, I don't even know the context, but it was iconic. So we'll see. I hope it's not an oversaturation of Vicky. I think if we just like drop Vicky in at the right times, she can add a lot of entertainment. Even though she's a monster of a person. I'm excited about Tamara too-ish. I will put respect on Tamara's name of that she is probably the housewife that has had the most impact on housewives as a whole. She really changed the way that the housewives operate back in the day on the OC. So I will give her all of the respect in the world for that. I do not like when housewives are on podcasts and then about the housewives and are like on the show. And I feel like it's like a weird, I don't know, something about it. I just feel like that means she's like doing a lot of things for the show purpose, which, you know, that's her job, I guess. But I saw her on my screen. I was like, oh, Tamara's back. This season's going to be great. And then the second I saw her on my screen and she was like, yeah, hooker or whatever, I was like, I don't know if I want Tamara back on the show. But I'm excited to see her. Like, I'm excited to see where it goes. I just like immediately was like, ugh. And I was watching with Matt, my partner, and he's like, this whole time you've been so excited about Tamara being back. And you just said, ugh. And I was like, yeah, it just hit me. I don't know. I'm like not happy to see her on the screen. I thought I was excited.
The hooker thing didn't even faze me. I was like, look at this bitch coming in on a motorcycle. What is she doing?
It's not like it bothers me that she called someone. I'm just like, oh, this is just typical Tamara. And I was just like, well, I don't know. But I'm excited to see her. I'm excited to see what happens with Shannon. You know, I'm a Shannon lover. Shannon's one of my top ladies. She cracks me up when she's doing yoga and she's like falling over. Like, I just like I don't know why her brand of housewife makes me laugh, but like she really just makes me truly laugh.
Yeah, I felt that Shannon was very relatable in the yoga, at least like, for me, because
me too.
You will never find me in like just a sports bra and like especially out. The only time it will be is if I ever get my ass back on this Peloton and it's hot and like it's me myself, and like I even get a little weird about Nitro being in the room with me during it. Like, stop looking. I'm embarrassed. Otherwise. And so like everyone was in their like monochrome yoga outfits, and she's there in like a baggy t-shirt and her leggings and like stumbling through it because that'd be me. I hate yoga.
Me
power
too.
to people who can do it, but
I wish I was a person that was into yoga. I am absolutely not. I
I
am
just
not
hate, like,
coordinated.
the silence of it all. I am not flexible in the
No.
slightest. And also the fact that, like, your wingspan is supposed to be your height, and I am only 4'10", and my wingspan is only 4'4", which means my wingspan is 6
Oh.
inches. I'm a fucking T-Rex in 2023. I got a big head and little arms, like, I am a descendant of dinosaurs. Um, so it's just, like, not being able to grab stuff and no, it's not for me. I
Yeah.
was Shannon in that experience.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a lot more to say about it being it meaning meaning the premiere, but I just it felt good to see them on the screen. I'm excited to see where we go this season. I'm excited to see whatever drama and fallout happens. I'm excited to see Shannon and Tamara. They did seem like at the end of that episode they made like this very dramatic sound thing, but then I don't think it's going to be very dramatic, this conversation that they have. I think they're trying to play
The
it up.
1 week later thing.
I hate it to be continued. You know this about me, especially like on week 1. Like we don't need that. We don't need to do that. Give us a trailer.
Yeah. I did think it was funny when Emily, Gina, and Tamara were talking about Shannon, and like Shannon's standing there and she's like, "Oh, this is about me, isn't it?" And I did think Gina's response and like her confession was like, "We broke cardinal rule number 1. Don't talk shit by the food table."
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah.
I hope Gina gives us something this season because I can't believe that she's still on the show.
What's kind of crazy to me is like I feel like Gina is the person who, and you've said this, like has the least amount of housewife qualities if you go back to like the origin of Real Housewives.
Gina
And
is
then
like if I were on the Housewives. No, nobody needs
exactly.
that.
And but then we also have like the polar opposite where like Heather Dubrow is a housewife where she doesn't have to work. And even Emily now is an actual housewife. She isn't working anymore. Maybe she's doing shit on the side, or I don't know if she's still doing like the pro bono stuff but I mean now that her husband is. So it's just interesting to me that you have like the polar opposites. And then I've thought about it like how many other actual housewives do we have? Like
Not
married to a person and they are not working because their husband is bringing in all the money.
Most of them are in Beverly Hills. Kyle.
Yeah.
Although I guess you could say she works because
like she works, but she doesn't have to.
No. Dorit.
Is she on this upcoming season? I don't think she is.
I think she is.
I thought
stuck with Dorit.
I feel like I haven't seen her in any pictures, or am I just seeing all the
pictures? She was at that
of
white
Dorit?
party.
Maybe she's a friend of. I would love that.
I hope so. She gives me nothing. Erica was a housewife.
R.I.P.
Yeah. Sorry, Erica.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that there's not a lot of like people who are actually housewives.
No. Karen Huger.
Oh, right. Yeah. She is the face of Surrey County though. So that is a pretty big role. And she sells 3-wick candles, which in her intro sounds like 3-way, which confused me for so long.
Yeah, that's true.
I
think the issue in OC, at least with the Heather of it all, is that like Heather lifestyle is like here and then everybody else's lifestyle is like down here. And I don't mean that as an insult. I just mean Heather is kind of disgustingly rich. Like remember last season where they threw out $33,000 of sushi just because of a fight? Like that's so sick to me. And so like it's like a disgusting level of wealth that like in the old days of Housewives, especially in the OC was interesting because it was so early and you really saw the impact of the recession on those housewives. I don't know if you remember during your watch, but like people lost their houses and like things were, you know, it's just like they were really impacted. So they were like, you know, kind of like lifestyle porn back in the beginning. And then they like kind of fell a little bit because of the recession and they had more like relatable lives. Most Gretchen and Slade, like I feel like lived in a 1-bedroom apartment, which is not true. They lived in a house, but to me it was like a 1-bedroom apartment. And so I just feel like that all like wish fulfillment stuff, like lifestyle porn aspect of OC went away. And we got more people that kind of like fit into that vibe, but like Heather is still in that. She's more Beverly Hills to me. I would be happy if Heather went to Beverly Hills and was on the Housewives of Beverly Hills. I think she would be an interesting shake up to that cast, but she doesn't fit on the OC for me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes complete sense. Yeah.
Well, we'll see what we have with this season. I'm excited. I'm happy it's back. It's been a long time.
Yeah, but it's good that it took that break because
I agree.
We struggled with it last time.
And the season before was so bad. I hope that they found their footing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. I'm excited to see Taylor. Let's see what Taylor brings. First ever housewife to switch a city.
Yeah, it doesn't make me any more excited to see her.
I just want to see what she's going to bring. It's been so long. I mean, it hasn't been that long we saw her on Girls Trip, but like it's been so long since we've seen her on Housewives proper.
Yeah. It'll be nice to have her without Brandy.
Yes. All right. If nothing else, we'll move quickly into Summer House. Another reunion this week. There's been 3 reunions this week, 3 nights in a row: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Reunion. This was part 2 of the regular OG Summer House reunion. It focused a lot on Carl and Lindsay as usual. There was a lot of back and forth between Lindsay and Danielle and Carl and Danielle. I'm ready for this show to take a break. I'm ready for it to, we don't have to get too into it. I know you don't watch, but it was just like, even Andy was yelling at Lindsay about stuff. And I was just like, Andy, you're too involved here. Like, you should be an unbiased host. Take a back seat and let them hash it out. Like, you don't need to be involved. It's just like, I don't know. Everybody in that house hates Carl and Lindsay. And it's just like, including me, but I also hate everybody else. So it's like, I don't, except for Kyle and Amanda, I don't really hate Kyle and Amanda.
So well, it's funny because you were like, yeah, a lot of the early people like aren't there anymore. And most of the people you've talked about, I'm in the middle of season 2. I've slowed down a little bit. Most of them are like still there.
Okay, so funny enough, I am rewatching Vanderpump Rules, and Vanderpump Rules in season 4, 5, I don't know, tried to recreate the magic. I think it was season 5. Recreate the magic that once was of Beverly Hills housewives transitioning seamlessly into Vanderpump Rules, and it just being, if you were there live, it was one of the most magical television experiences I've ever had. It was like jarring, but then it was like, what is this? Who are these people? This is a new show? What's going on here? But they did that with Summer House. Stassi and Katie and Sheena and Kristen went out to Montauk. They went to the house. Kyle called Stassi Steve Jobs, and that was like and then they seamlessly moved into, well, not as seamless, into episode 1 of Summer House, and it's still part of that episode of Vanderpump Rules, the Summer House episode. So I was like, maybe I'll skip this, and then I was like, no, you know what? Let me watch it. And I had no idea that Amanda was also in season 1. Like, I didn't know that she went back that far. And I knew Lindsay, Carl, and Kyle were on, but I had no idea Amanda was also on season 1.
Yeah, she was only like invited in as like Kyle's
ex-girlfriend or something.
Yeah, like
couldn't commit.
Yeah, like she was around. She was sleeping with him, or he was sleeping with her every weekend, but she wasn't like in the house like she is season 2.
Yeah, so I guess, it's, well, that's good. There's some continuity.
Yeah, it's interesting because like right now, Carl is a mess in season 2, and Lindsay is also a mess. And so the fact that like they end up together, and Danielle being so mad about it is also weird because like her and Carl had a fling at one point, and I don't know.
That comes up slightly this season.
Got it.
Very lightly.
Yeah. It's like I like the Martha's Vineyard one better than anything that I've watched so far on the regular one. I am even more fired up about just people I don't like on that show and the people I do like. But it's just interesting because like it does seem like they have some decent care or like people sticking around season after season, which
I like a real friendship.
Yeah.
So that makes me happy.
And they do seem like actual friends.
Yeah,
at
definitely.
Least right now in season 2, but I could also see it being 5 years later and people are sick of each other, and especially when you have this additional pressure of like being in a public spotlight, that it could be a lot.
Yeah. And there's other people in the show too that are actual friends that come later. Like I'm sure you know who Paige is, even though you don't watch the show.
I've heard of Paige.
Yeah. She's she's dating Craig from Southern Charm, which that's a show I'm not excited for it to come back.
Have you watched it?
Yeah, I've been in and out. I don't keep up. I watched some of last season. I don't think I watched the season before, so I like touch and go. I watched it pretty regularly when it first came out, but they're just really bad people. They're all bad people on Southern Charm. In a not fun way, like Vanderpump.
Got it. All right. Well, I mean, that one isn't on my radar to get into yet, so I'll save it. Yeah. Save it for later.
Yeah, the early seasons were worth a watch, but truly vile people.
Yeah.
Tell me about Martha's Vineyard. Still good?
Yes, definitely. And I still hate like the main couple.
Okay.
It finally came up. Like they basically have very loud sex every night, and finally people called them out for it. So I'm glad that that's happened. But the girl whose like boyfriend is coming in from Germany, that original, like one of the bigger issues was that she asked Jasmine if her boyfriend can come in for the last week, and she said yes.
Yeah.
And then Silas, Jasmine's husband, was like, no. And after, because he's flying in from Germany, and like she had a good point. Bria's the girl whose boyfriend is this white dude from Germany. She's like, he's not going to fly in to stay here for 3 days. It is not worth his money. It is 13 hours. Well, she didn't even say money because this dude's rich. It's not worth his time to fly 13 hours each way to be here for 3 days. Like that's just
insane. Truly insane. And especially as someone that hates flying. That's like that's an insane thing.
And Jasmine had said it was okay, but then like when she was like, I never said that. I never said that. And it's like, girl, it's on fucking camera that you said that. But so her boyfriend shows up, and he gives every single one of them $800 watches, and gives the married couple like $1,200 watches, like Versace watches.
The hell?
Because he was like, here's your marriage or like wedding gift since we weren't able to go or something. So like he also brought a very, very, very expensive bottle of tequila with him. So he's like buying his way into the house. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, they played Truth or Dare. There's some good banter, some good vibes. There was like a girls' brunch, and the guy Preston, who is queer, he like went with the girls, and like the guys did something, and like there's just a lot of like good. It's fun to watch. Yeah. Like I like that I have enemies on the show, people to root against, but I'm rooting for a lot more people than I am rooting against, which is also nice. So
I love having one good enemy.
Yeah.
Instead of hating everybody, you need someone that you can root against, like one or two.
Yeah. And I like that it's the married couple.
Yeah.
Who are also like the core piece. Like Survivor keeps getting mentioned because it's like, damn, this is like a vote. Like, am I going to make it through the weekend? Like,
that's
am I
so
the
funny.
person voted off? Like, we keep having these votes, and
that's really funny.
Yeah. So I really there is a girl who just came in last episode that like was here for this entire episode, and she stands up to the men a bit, and she's also just like bringing some good energy. Her name is Summer. Ironically, I guess. So Summer, Preston, who is the queer man in the house, and Amir are my three favorite. Amir is the hot one who also has a very good personality. So those are my three to look out for. And but like even my like hatred for Jasmine and Silas is not like, it's like 50th of my hatred for like Sandoval. You know what I mean? It's not it's
like,
just
you
like
want a real villain.
You two are like the worst in the house easily, but I just am. I'm not a fan. You aren't like my enemy. You aren't like you didn't watch Below Deck. I told you this. Below Deck Down Under. Like the chef that was like, if I see him, I'm just gonna fucking fist fight him.
Did you
Like,
see it's coming back for season 2? I think a trailer's
I
out.
definitely watched the trailer already because my girl Aisha's probably one of my favorite
Yeah,
people
she's great.
out of the Below Deck franchise because
She's great.
I love not to, I guess we can transition into Below Deck right now if we want to.
Perfect
I
segue.
love watching people not just be like good characters on these shows, but also like, especially for Below Deck, good at their jobs. I like seeing them excel at things, and like Aisha's so good at what she does.
Yes.
So I just like find her really enjoyable to watch. And
Yeah.
so her and Captain Jason are back, and then everyone else is new.
I'm gonna watch
Did I
once it's
freeze?
out. I'm gonna try and watch season 1. I need
Okay.
to catch up on Sailing. So I'm excited. I need to like set some time up for myself to catch up. I feel like there's gonna be nothing but time given the writer's strike. I feel like, and especially if like SAG also goes on strike, then like there's really gonna be nothing happening. So I'm trying to like save some of it to catch up on, but I want to do that. I want to watch Summer House. I want to do Summer House, Martha's Vineyard. I want to catch up on all the Below Decks because I'm very well versed in Med and the OG Below Deck, but Sailing I just haven't gotten into yet, and Down Under I didn't watch.
This was a season or an episode for Sailing.
I saw that some Sailing folks were also on Watch What Happens Live, which I feel like means it was very dramatic. So I'm gonna try and speed through.
I should watch these Watch What Happens Lives. I have been better at being able to tolerate Watch What Happens Lives. The very few that like I watched Ariana's, and there was another one somewhat recently I watched, and now that I like it's almost like people who listen to podcasts at regular speed when they hear the 1.5 speed are like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
That's how I feel when I watch that show.
That's totally reasonable and understandable. It's like a blip in time, that show. It's just like whoosh, we go so quickly. But it's I don't know. I know there was some drama with some of the Martha's Vineyard cast that was born on Watch What Happens Live, and now there's like some back and forth. And I think one of them, I don't know the people, but someone that was on the show called out Carl because he said he DM'd Carl and Carl never answered, and then Carl came back and said he did. So there's like stuff happening on Watch What Happens Live, at least with Martha's Vineyard cast.
Okay, good to know. I'll see if I can check that out. But yeah,
I think they're on Peacock.
Yeah, they are. It's just a matter of like actually sitting down and watching them.
Yeah.
And getting over my like hesitation towards the show.
Yeah.
So I'll get there eventually, but maybe this weekend. Yeah, Below Deck right now, it's kind of wild because I've told you about this trio. We have Daisy, Colin, and Gary, who've been on since season 2 and it's season 4. And Gary and Daisy had a very passionate makeout last season in the hot tub. And that's where we saw it end. And then this last episode, Colin and Daisy hooked up.
Yeah.
While Gary was having sex with one of the stews. And Gary got like a little hurt by Daisy and Colin hooking up. And Colin talked about it. He's like, are you mad? Like, do you have feelings for her? And he's like, I think I did, but I don't, and it's okay. But then we like get information at like the end of the episode of like what's coming. And well, actually, I think it was in this episode. Gary talks to Daisy and is like, yeah, I do have feelings for you. And Daisy's like, well, you can't wait until I'm fucking around with someone else to tell me like that you're that insecure to not tell me. Like, why didn't you tell me? And then at the end of the episode, we get like a what's to come. And it's Daisy or Gary and Daisy are talking. And Gary was like, yeah, having sex with you is great. And Daisy was like, shut the fuck up. So like, yeah, it was something that like definitely didn't happen. I don't know. We don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's people that know, but like, if you're just watching and not Redditing and everything else, like we never saw them have sex on the boat. So if it happened, I think that they were in the same for one of the reunions, like they were both at her apartment or something. Like, so who knows? Like, who knows? I'm not saying that happened then or whatever, but they definitely kept this under wraps until sometime this season, but they like flashed to it and being like, And Daisy's like, shut the fuck up. And then Colin finds out and he's like, I knew he always, like, there was always something more to it. And now I know. And so now there's this like triangle and like Gary ends up in Daisy's bed and you see Colin in Daisy's bed. And it's like, for the three main characters, especially like these people who've been coming back season after season, for them to be like the cornerstone of everything that's going on is like kind of wild. It would be like if, I don't know, like Kate was in a love triangle on an OG season with Ben and
Eddie.
I was just about to say Eddie and name a third. Like, yeah, it'd be like, imagine the gravity of that happening.
Yeah.
That's like the same thing of what's happening right now in Sailing.
Well, I'm sold because that sounds like I don't even really know who these people are at this point. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, I'm all in on this. So I'm going to catch up. At least on this, maybe on the last season and this season, I'll catch up.
I don't think I would say just watch this season and then like if you want to go back, but to like catch up on this one, I think between like what they show and what I can tell you, you'll be filled in enough. But
okay, I'm excited.
I will say it like I think it starts off a little slow this season, especially just because
there's a lot of boat issues, right?
So good. Yeah, there's the boat issues. And Gary had COVID at the beginning of the season, so he wasn't on the boat, I think, for like the first 2 episodes as well.
Oh, okay.
So there's some things that like that and like one of the deckhands is just like thinks he's just hotter shit than he is, and you're like, shut the fuck up. So there's some of that, but I think it starts off a little slow, and it also doesn't help that like Sailing has been so good the last 2 seasons that everyone just expects it to come out being like, let's fucking go. And yeah, I've been looking at the spider that's been crawling on my wall for the last like 10 minutes. It's fine. Spiders don't really scare me. It's more just the fact of like, I need to be ready if it gets close enough so I can kill it. So that's why I've been like looking around. Like there's no birds, there's no planes, it's just a spider. I'm in like the basement / garden, so we get some big ones. This one's small in comparison to some of the other ones I've had, but spiders don't faze me. Bees, different story.
Oh, me too.
So yeah, we got some drama this week for sure. Right. And what looks like to be what's coming, it's only picking up. So if it's not too late to get into the season, it's probably, maybe, I don't know what episode we're at. I'm
probably close to halfway, right?
I think it's probably halfway actually. Yeah. I was thinking more like Atlanta and Summer House Martha's Vineyard. But yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to see if I can at least watch some of it by next week.
Even if you just watch
like the last 3 episodes.
Honestly, like
I saw the makeout. I did see that.
You could probably like pick up with this week's episode and watch the rest of the season and basically be fine.
Oh, great. Okay, cool.
I think the only thing you need to know besides that is Mads, who is the stew that hooked up with Gary this episode. She also like so Chase, the like kind of skeevy deckhand, was like into her, and she's like, nah, dog, not at all. But then the hot deckhand, who Daisy made out with already, is also into Mads, and I can't remember if they've made out. So there's that, and then I think that's everything. Okay. The chef is a delight. She's also in a relationship and like doesn't fuck around in that way. But she's just like fun to have there. She's like a nice, like pure presence.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, even if you just watch last week's episode and this week,
I'm gonna do
it and start from there. But I think if you're gonna catch up on anything, Martha's Vineyard, and then watch one episode, like watch last week's. Okay. And then you can start.
All right, I'll do that. I have nothing going on this weekend, I don't think so. Same. And if the air quality stays the same, I'm not going outside. So
right.
Fingers crossed that we're good.
Yeah. We're hoping for clear air in New York City.
Yes. It's getting better. Hopefully. That was all I had on the list of all of our shows. We crossed everything off. Is there anything else Bravo related. Oh, I actually have one thing. Did you see that Lisa Vanderpump is getting another show on Hulu?
No.
It's called like Vanderpump Villa or something. I could be making that up, but it's like something to do with like her French villa and the staff there. So it almost seems like a below deck on land type of situation with
Oh,
Lisa Vanderpump
interesting.
involved somehow. 10 episodes on Hulu. I don't know when it's coming out, but um that was announced today.
Okay. No, I did not see that.
Yeah. So that's exciting. And that's all I think that's it in terms of Bravo news. I don't think there's much like news out there.
No, I don't think so either. Not from what I've been seeing.
There is like Louis' ex has filed a
Oh,
restraining order against him, but I don't even want to talk about it because
yeah.
I think there it's deep, and I think there's a lot of stuff with that ex. There's a lot of stuff with Louis. I'm not versed enough to talk about it, so maybe if
Same.
more happens next week, we could dig into it a little bit. But also, I'm exhausted about
Yeah.
Louis, so I just like don't care that much. But we've
Yeah,
heard
I
about it. We
agree.
know about it.
Yeah.
Sucks for everyone. Sucks for
Right.
Teresa. It's really,
Yes.
yeah.
And it
Okay.
like unfortunately puts like Joe in a light where it's like, oh, well, I was right. Look it.
Mhm. I know. I just, and I think I said this last week when Joe Judice called, and I heard him go like, "Oh, you guys have a good." I was like, I miss Joe Judice, which I never thought in my whole entire life I would ever say, but I
Mhm.
really do.
Yeah.
He was like a comforting voice that I heard on the phone. I was like, "Oh, oh, it's that guy."
Hmm.
Um. All right. Well, Kari, where can people find you? What are you up to? What do you have coming up this week in your life? If you want to, is
Uh,
there anything exciting to share?
no, I have to go do homework after this. But in conclusion, something that's worth being excited about is we got a political win today. So
Woo!
if you're into politics, we are celebrating Alabama, just not having their voting districts gerrymandered
Yes.
based off of the race of someone. So yeehaw. And I am team 28th Amendment. Have you seen this?
I don't think so.
Oh goodness. Here's my political plug for the week.
Okay.
The governor of California, Newsom, whatever his
Yeah,
last name
Gavin
is.
Newsom.
Thank you. I couldn't remember his first name. I want to call him Greg, and I knew that wasn't it.
No, that's
He is
Texas. Blue.
Greg
No
Abbott.
offense
No,
to people in Texas that don't
it's
deserve
just
offense.
yeah, like if you
But there's a
voted
lot
for
of people in
Beto,
Texas that do deserve offense.
then
Yeah.
you're okay by
Oh,
me.
I don't
But
really like Beto either, but that was a conversation for another time.
he filed for the 28th Amendment, which would have 4 components of, like, gun control to it. So,
Oh,
if
great.
I only watched 1 video on it, but it was, like, the video that he put out. Um, you can't buy a gun until you're 21. There's a mandated, like, waiting period once you buy the gun and until you can get it. Um, no automatic rifles, no AR-15s, and background mental health checks
Amazing.
before. Yeah, so, like, 4 pretty logical
Yeah.
things, and so, in order for it's gonna be a process to get this
Mhm.
to happen, if it can, but you need 2/3 of the states to, agree to it, so California is the first one, and we will see what
Fingers
happens,
crossed.
but I am rooting heavily for it, so I'm, today shouting out the 28th Amendment. That's
Well,
that's where I'm
good.
at. I'm
Shout
not
out to the 28th Amendment. Fingers
Mhm,
crossed that two-thirds of the states is a lot of states.
mm,
And there's a lot of states that are scary. So
mhm.
hopefully someone comes through.
The stats that he showed in the video, and obviously, like, when you're showing stats for your own thing, I mean, it does seem like a lot of the people want there to be better control, and, what's nice is if it does become an amendment, like, it still allows people to have guns, but
Yeah.
it also means that states can't take away those 4 like, necessities, and
Yeah.
so I mean, like, to me, if that isn't compromised, then what is? Like, what
I know.
where else can we go? 'Cause, this country will never go, like, full UK, and ban guns after one school shooting in Scotland in like the 1990s, I think. And like it's never going to happen. And I'm not saying it should, like it shouldn't happen. I would be totally for it. However, like I just think we would never get there. And so to me, this seems like incredibly reasonable. And so I would love to back. I already donated $25 to back Incredibly Reasonable. So
great.
We'll see. Check it out if that strikes your fancy.
Well, I hope that we get some good news about that at some point.
Yeah,
unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are unreasonable when it comes to this topic, but fingers crossed.
I don't know what the process is, and this is something I'll have to look into on my own time, is like, well, what does it mean for like a state to be like, yes? Like who has to say yes? Is it just the governor? Is it the state house and the state senate vote?
Yeah.
And then like, what is that process? And if because I don't know the process, I don't want to comment too much on it. So I'm just like, I want to know. I need to figure that out so that I know where to like, am I already doing good things by being involved with an organization who focuses on state, Senate and House elections, if that's something that matters towards like getting a state to say, yes, we want to be a part of like having this happen. So I have some research to do. But yeah, that's what I'm doing online is I'm looking at the political stuff because
good. More people should
bring stress on myself, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good. Everybody has to stay informed and be more involved.
Yeah, but I don't think I've been tweeting much. So KGD26 if you want to follow me anywhere.
Yeah, if you want to follow Bo Deedle here.
That's me, proud investigator.
Yes. Well, you can find me at RealSomeKatie on Twitter. You can also find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/RealSomeKatie with an underscore. I haven't been doing a ton there, but I'm hoping to get, I feel like I said this exact same thing last week, but I'm working on getting a more consistent schedule nailed down. Story of my life. It never ends up working, but you know what? It is what it is. We have life. We have jobs. It's a lot. But I will be there tomorrow and over the weekend playing a couple of things. So check me out there. I also do, if we're just making recommendations and talking about things, everybody should go see Across the Spider-Verse, the new Spider-Man movie. I am not a superhero movie person. I'm not an animated movie person, but the first Into the Spider-Verse movie was great. And I don't know if I said the wrong name first, but I think this one's called Across the Spider-Verse. It was absolutely incredible. So everybody should check it out. It was really great. So that's my recommendation for the week. Otherwise, you can find us anywhere you listen to your podcast. I'm just finding we have a nice little banner, but I can't find it right now. I'm just scrolling. Here we go. Check us out anywhere you listen to your podcasts. We're on pretty much every podcast app out there. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're watching us on YouTube and you want some audio only, check us out on your audio platforms. Give us a comment, give us a like, give us a rating if you heard something that you thought was worth 5 stars. Otherwise, you get to rate us once. So just like save it until you feel like it's time for 5 stars. But we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter at silent_podcasts if you want to keep up with what we're up to these days. We're in the off season of a lot of shows that we normally cover. So if there's anything that you are interested in, I'm trying to see if anyone's interested in covering Stars on Mars with me, because I just feel like it's something I need to talk about, but I don't think we've gotten any traction on it. But maybe we'll just fold it into here because there's Tom Sandoval and Portia. So it's like
I plan on watching it. What's it on?
It's on Fox. I think it started this week. I have not yet watched the first episode, but it's on my list.
I only know of it because I saw a clip of Katie on Sophia with an F's podcast, and like Sophia with an F was contacted to be on it.
No idea who Sophia with an F is.
The lesser known half of Call Her Daddy before they spoke.
Oh, okay.
So she was like, "Yeah, I was contacted to be on this show," and
she was contacted.
Yeah, and she like kind of described it, and Katie's like, I think I know the show because
I thought you meant Katie was, okay.
No. So she, Sophia, the podcaster was.
Oh, so we're using the term stars very loosely here.
Yeah. And
okay.
Then Katie was like, I think I know the show you're talking about because Tom's on it. And so like they whispered like the name and they both like freaked out. And Katie's like, I think we could talk about it because they're already doing press for it. And so then they started talking about it. It's the only reason I knew it existed.
It seems like it's Big Brother on a fake space station, basically, which is like with very D F list celebrities. So like I'm in.
Yeah.
Plus,
Let's
Marshawn
go.
Lynch is funny. So, like, I'm excited.
Oh my God, he's so funny.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe we'll talk about that next week if you're caught up and we can, fold it in since there's a Bravo component if no one wants to do a full podcast about it. Maybe it's not even worth a full podcast. I'm sure there's not that much to talk about, honestly.
We shall see. Just remind me and I'll try to watch it.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see you all again next week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for participating. Valencia, shout out to you for always being here and everybody else that's been in the chat today. And we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.